Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Out of My League. I'm Nick Diaz. Someone on Twitter the other day made this analogy, and I wish I could give them credit for it, but they said when you get to a new place or to a new city, you have the people that you know who come with you, your family, your friends, whoever, and then you have the people that you know that are already in place that can help you navigate your new city that you're living in. So my brother just moved to Germany a couple weeks ago with his wife, and they have a friend from high school who already lives in Berlin right next to him. And college coaching is very similar. Frank Wilson is the friend that already lives there that is going to help you navigate your new place. The early signing period is coming up next week for college recruiting, and for the past week, every LSU fan I've heard has asked, why are we not hearing about the new coordinators? What's the timeline for the new coordinators? Who's are you hearing for the defensive coordinator? Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Patience, Grasshopper. Patience. You have only so much time to get recruits. Now, they will be on your team for the next 3 to 4 years, but you still have to get them and get them now. You have more time to get assistant coaches and coordinators who will potentially be on your staff a little bit longer. Brian Kelly did not hire an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator today. He hired his culture first. He hired Frank Wilson as the assistant head coach, no position, just as an assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, to leave a head coaching job to basically be an ace recruiter for LSU. He's in it for the long haul. Jacob Flint is the strength and conditioning coach, left Notre Dame. He's played for Brian Kelly at Central Michigan in 2005 and has been with him ever since. He's in this for the long haul. The Notre Dame sports nutrition director, he's leaving Notre Dame to follow Brian Kelly. He's in it for the long haul. Brian Polian, the special teams coordinator at Notre Dame, he was a failed head coach at Nevada. He got a shot, he blew it. He may not get another one, which means he's in this for the long haul. Everyone talks about play callers and the quarterback coach and the linebacker coach. Those people come and go. Greg McMahon, the special teams coordinator who just retired from LSU, he was here the entire time under Coach O. Tommy Moffitt was here for 21 years. Jack Marucci, he's staying at LSU. He's being retained under Brian Kelly. Mickey Joseph was the Frank Wilson of the Coach O era. He was here the entire time. Scott Cochran was the strength and conditioning coach for Alabama and was with Nick Saban the entire time at Alabama up until 2 years ago. These are the culture hires. You can't drive the plane before it's been built. Brian Kelly has to hire the culture before he can hire the scheme. The scheme comes and goes. Now that changes. Brian Kelly's running a different scheme that he ran 5 years ago. Culture stayed the same. Nutrition director stayed the same. Strength and conditioning coach stayed the same. You know what else you notice, though, about who Brian Kelly hired today? Let's look at the list. Assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, special teams coach, strength and conditioning coach, director of sports and nutrition. What do all of these 4 people have in common? They all deal with every player on the roster year-round. The defensive coordinator and offensive line coach, they can't practice with the players year-round. Not to mention it's against the rules for them to be with them all year-round. But the assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, well, he has to recruit all the players. The strength and conditioning coach, he talks to the players more than the head coach does. According to the rules of the NCAA, he's allowed to. The director of sports and nutrition, hell, all football players do is eat. And the one on-the-field assistant that's been officially named, the special teams coach, Brian Polian. The one on-the-field assistant that has to coach every single position on the field. Everybody except the quarterback plays special teams. Offensive linemen, linebackers, defensive backs, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, everyone. But though, please keep obsessing over the quarterback coach and the defensive coordinator. Those people will get new jobs 2 or 3 years from now. Who gives a shit? Give me a foundation that has to keep the house upright. That's why Coach O couldn't succeed long term, because after all the great offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and assistant coaches left, guess what? The foundation was bad. It kept you afloat. Those people come and go all the time. How many times have we heard head coaches say the most important staff member for a college football program is the strength and conditioning coach? Brian Kelly has built and sustained historical success at 4 different programs. And look who he's hired first on his staff. A strength and conditioning coach, a recruiting coordinator. He might actually know what the hell he's doing. Culture and toughness in recruiting. It's the lifeblood of the college football program. Now, here's the upside and downside to each hire. Frank Wilson, there is no downside. It's only upside. He recruits the state of Louisiana better than anybody historically ever has outside of Coach O, and he knows New Orleans. And also, he's a great running backs coach. Now, my only question is, seeing as he has not been assigned to a position coach just yet, what does that mean for Kevin Falk, who's currently the running backs coach? Does he stay at running back? Does he get demoted to director of player personnel, which he was before he was promoted to running backs coach? Or does Frank Wilson coach receivers, which he did before at Tennessee under Lane Kiffin? That's the question. That's the only question mark. Brian Polian, the special teams coach, I guess you could say, how much experience does he have coaching in the SEC? He has 1 year of coaching in the SEC, Texas A&M, but that's about it. That's the only downside I can think of. Jacob Flint, the strength and conditioning coach, 38, young, relatable players like him. He's had offers from NFL teams to be a strength and conditioning staffer. He's been the co-strength and conditioning coach at Notre Dame, basically second in command since 2017. And since 2017, Notre Dame has not lost a game in November, which means that's a sign of great conditioning and little injuries. The downside to all of this is that he's never been his own strength and conditioning coach and never run his own strength and conditioning program by himself. He's turned down other opportunities to do that until now. It's a risk, a calculated one, but still a risk. And the director of sports nutrition, I have no idea. I'm sure they'll do fine. Now, when you're trying to set a new culture, there are priorities that need to be addressed first, and that's the people that you work for. So think about the best jobs that you've had. Best jobs you've had, or the jobs that you've had that are the most tolerable. It all comes down to, essentially, if you think about it, who did you enjoy working with the most? And more importantly, who were the most important employees or employers that you had that you enjoyed working with the most? Don't bullshit me. Not every employee or employer or job is equal to each other. We all know deep down this position is more important than that position. We know it. You hire the engineer to make the plane before you actually hire the pilot to fly the damn thing. That's what a coordinator does. The coordinators are a pilot. Well, Brian Kelly just hired his engineers to build the damn plane for him. And if the plane is no good, it doesn't matter who the pilot is. The thing's going to crash regardless. That's what happened to the last head coach. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook in the description link below.